Ladies and gentlemen, dear colleagues, dear friends, as chairwoman of the German Arab Women Business Leaders, I couldn't be more excited today. As today we start our virtual meeting series, to which I have the honor and privilege of giving you a very warm welcome. Proudly, we are partnering with Sana Technical Assistance Facilities in this important virtual event. So a massive thank you to our long-standing partners and friends at Sana and Finance in Motion. And here in particular to Elvira Lefting, Elena Matjolius, Maha Oqail, Ole Nestingen, and of course Ivetta Tancheva Nikolova and I'm very happy to be able to say, another excellent cooperation. As you have been supporting our mission to create a platform to connect, to empower, and to engage with women across Germany, the Arab world, and the international community from scratch. A huge thank you also to Rebecca Schmidt, who again has designed our website. So as you can see, one hand doesn't clap. Together, as partners, we are happy to continue building on our shared momentum created at the first German Arab Women Business Leaders Summit back in 2018, now with our virtual meeting series. Dear partners at Finance in Motion, thank you also for having set up this first session today, addressing the vital role of financing institutions in financing women in times of crisis. And indeed, these are unprecedented times, full of challenges, fears, and losses, but also full of strength, hope, and opportunities. Times when resilience, innovation, and solidarity are key when adapting to new scenarios. And it is together that we must address these challenges. It is together that we must turn them into opportunities by designing and implementing new strategies for a safe, healthy, and prosperous future. Our commitment at JAWBL is to moving forward, taking this crisis as an opportunity for the better, by joining efforts, by joining forces, by strengthening our network, so as to pave the way for future generations together. And this is why I'm particularly happy to see that today you are joining us from all parts of the world, from the US, the UK, Turkey, Egypt, Palestine, Jordan, Iraq, Algeria, Tunisia, Morocco, the United Arab Emirates, Saudi Arabia, Oman, Switzerland, Belgium, the Netherlands, and Germany. I hope I haven't left any out. What a great range indeed. Now it is my pleasure to introduce you to our expert and moderator of today's session, Ivetta Tancheva Nikolova. Now, Ivetta, you are responsible for the Sana Debt Sub-Fund and previously oversaw the investment portfolios for two other global impact investment funds advised by Finance in Motion. You joined Finance in Motion in 2012 after spending 10 years in mergers and acquisitions and capital markets at HSBC and ING Baring, London. Ivetta, you supported emerging market companies in raising capital and advised clients in the financial service sector. To be honest, I couldn't think of a better moderator to share this tremendous expertise and to guide us today through our session on financing women. So, again, a warm welcome to you and to our great speakers whom you will now introduce to us. And when I look into this virtual round of concentrated women power and expertise, I'm all the more looking forward to an insightful, impactful, and engaging session. So now, Ivetta, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Gabi, for these very inspiring opening remarks. I can only echo what you said and say once again that we are very proud and privileged to be working with you for so many years in advancing female entrepreneurship and access to finance for women in particular in the MENA region and beyond. We are very proud to be part of this panel today and to discuss and to exchange perspectives together with our panelists on financing women entrepreneurs, especially now in these difficult and challenging times posed by the COVID pandemic. Before going into some housekeeping items and giving you an overview of the topics we want to touch on, I would like to present briefly our panelists and to give them the opportunity as well to say a few words about themselves and the institutions they represent. So we have with us today Yasmina El Hosseini, the Head of Strategic Planning from the Export Development Bank of Egypt. We have also with us Tamara Abdel Jaber, partner at Amam Ventures. We are joined by Sana Afois, a long-standing partner of Sanat, founder and director of the Womenpreneur Initiative. And of course, we have with us Hiba Mansour, who is the founder and CEO of a successful startup in the region, Saigini. I would like to ask our panelists to very briefly introduce themselves and say a few words about their backgrounds and the institutions that they represent. Maybe I give the floor to Tamara first.
Thank you, Ivetta. I come from a consulting background, management consulting. I've had my own consulting firm for the past 19 years. I'm a co-founder of Women in Business Arabia, which is a virtual community comprising more than 42,000 women from across the Arab region. And more recently, together with two of my partners, we started Amam Ventures, which is a gender lens investment fund that caters for businesses, SMEs that support or have a clear gender agenda that promote diversity and equality. And we've been supporting businesses through both financial services, but also non-financial technical assistance that's targeted and customized for our portfolio and pipeline companies, but also supports the general community of women in Business Arabia and the women business owners within that community.
Thank you very much, Tamara. Then maybe Yasmina, if you would like to say a few words.
My name is Yasmina El Hosseini. I've been working in banking since the year 2000. I've been in corporate banking for quite some time. I shifted just recently, 2 years ago, to strategic planning, and another task was added to my list, which is financial inclusion, which is that's why today I find this subject very interesting to me, and I need to shed the light as well on EDE, Export Development Bank of Egypt, is a quasi-public sector bank, owned 75% to national banks in Egypt and 25% at free float. We have 41 branches across 14 governorates in Egypt with 1,400 employees, total footings around about 50 billion EGP, 30 billion of assets. And we have recently launched our retail business, which has a portfolio of 2.5 billion EGP currently. I'm proud to present EBE, and I'm very glad to be with you today.
Thank you very much, Yasmina. Then maybe I can ask Sana to present briefly herself.
Thank you so much, Ivetta. Hi, everyone. I'm very happy to join this great event. Thank you, Gabi, and the whole Sana team for this great event. And very important topic, especially with this endless crisis. I run an organization called Womenpreneur. We are a non-for-profit organization. We work on women empowerment in economy, technology, innovation, and society as a whole. We operate in 2 regions, Belgium and the Mena region, Middle East, North Africa, focusing on Arab countries. Since 2016, we have trained and supported 13,000 women. So our mission is to provide resources, platforms, and spaces for women to otherwise become entrepreneurs or be active in economy by finding a job opportunity, and to raise awareness about the place of women in the ecosystem in the region. So very happy to join you here today and hopefully learn and share interesting insights.
Thank you very much, Sana. And finally, Hiba, our female entrepreneur today. Would you like to say a few words about yourself and your company?
Yeah, I'm the founder of sajilni.com and the most recently launched product easymeet.co for virtual events, which next event will be done on it. And basically, I started off as a technical person. I'm a software engineer by degree and by initial profession. And then I went on into the entrepreneurship scene where I started my business back in Jordan. And we have received funding from an incubator in Jordan called Oasis 500. And then later on got a follow-on investment after the growth that we had made from 500 startups, a lead investor out of Silicon Valley. And most recently, we expanded our operations to include Jordan, UAE, and Saudi Arabia. However, after the impact of COVID-19, it had shaken the event industry to its core, and we started seeing a new normal. And I look forward to talking to you more about it later on.
Thank you very much, Hiba. We also look forward to hearing more about your business and how you made it successful in these very tough times.
Thank you.
Then maybe a few housekeeping points, if you allow me, Gabi, before we move on to the discussion. Just to give a little bit of information about the panel and what we plan to do over the next an hour and a half, 2 hours. We would like to go through 3 topics. First, to zoom in on the challenges and the impacts of COVID-19, especially on female-owned businesses in the MENA region. What are the issues, what are the needs, and how are financial institutions responding to them? Secondly, we want to also touch on a little bit on the positives as well, and to see what have been the lessons learned, both from the point of view of financial institutions, incubators, accelerators, but also from the point of view of these women that are running businesses on the ground. And then we want to move forward and to talk about the key priorities. What can we do to support female entrepreneurs in the region to grow and to succeed and to pivot their businesses in the current times in order to make them sustainable in the future. And here we would also very much like to tap on the different experiences from all our panelists. Overall, we plan to spend between an hour and a half on this discussion. And then we would like to open the floor up for your questions and to make it as interactive as possible. Please do post your questions in the chat, which will run alongside the webinar. We will see them, we will collect them, and with the help of Laura and the rest of the team, we will then address as much as possible every question in the audience. We also have a small surprise for all of you. We will be running some impromptu surveys during the panel. We would really like to understand how the audience reacts to what is being discussed and what are the perspectives of the audience. So please be prepared. In between the topics, Gabi will kindly share on the screen the questions that we would like to pose. And then it should be fairly straightforward. You just need to click and choose the option that you most resonates with you. And then in real time, we should be able to see the results, hopefully, if the technology holds. I think this is pretty much it for now. As I said, if you do have questions as we go along the discussion, please do post them immediately into the chat. We will collect them all and address them at the very end. And now, without further ado, I wanted to move on to the topic at hand. And first, to give you a little bit of background on Sanat, which is the MSME fund, impact fund operating in Middle East and Northern Africa. We have been in the region for almost 10 years now. As an impact fund, our mission is to support micro, small, and medium-sized enterprises in the Middle East and select countries in sub-Saharan Africa, and to promote access to finance, employment, and economic growth in the region, with a particular focus on agriculture, youth, and female-led businesses. Gabi, if I may ask to go through the next one. Next one, please. Exactly. This is a snapshot of where we operate. As I said, we are active in 16 target countries across the region. We have a fairly wide reach. We also have local offices on the ground, staffed with finance in motion professionals that are close to the markets and close to the needs of the MSMEs that we try to reach out to. Currently, we have about 330 million US dollars in outstanding portfolio, which we invest not directly, but through financial intermediaries on the ground. These are financial institutions such as EBE in Egypt, for example, but also microfinance institutions, leasing companies, which then on-lend our financing to the end borrowers, to the MSMEs on the ground. Over the years, we have reached over 230,000 MSMEs through our subloans, which I think demonstrates quite clearly the impact and the objectives of the fund to drive further access to finance in the region. And then moving on to the next slide, I wanted to illustrate a little bit our focus on women entrepreneurship and empowerment of women in the region. For us, it's a focus area. We realize that this is a segment which is often underserved, not fully understood, and which at the same time holds a huge potential for growth, but also for business opportunities when it comes to financing and investment. Therefore, on the investment side, we work very closely with partners that have a strong focus on women-led businesses. I will give you just two examples. We work with MFW in Jordan, which is one of the largest MFIs in the region, with over 140,000 clients, of which 96% are women. In addition, through our equity sub-fund, we are also invested in Enda Tamwil, which is a microfinance institution in Tunisia, the largest one. And again, out of the 350,000 clients that they serve, over 60% are women. We support them with financing, but not only financing, but also business support services that allow these entrepreneurs to grow and to further develop their businesses. On the technical assistance side, we are also very, very active. We work with our partners to implement and develop tailored programs targeted at their female clients and female-owned businesses. We also support partners in workplace equity projects, helping them to rebalance and to ensure gender equality in their institutions. We also try to advance the topic on a sectoral level by organizing trainings and awareness programs. And we will later on showcase one of our common projects with Sana, the Womenpreneur Tour, which enjoyed very good reception and was very successful last year in raising awareness of female entrepreneurs in the region, creating networking opportunities for them, but also creating role models in the region that can inspire other women to start their own businesses and to move forward. And with this, I wanted to move on to the topic at hand, which is financing female-led businesses in the COVID-19 environment, and to give you some of the latest statistics, which I think we have all heard by now, but just to underline once again how negative the impact of the COVID pandemic has been, and how disproportionately negative the impact has been on female-led businesses. What we can see here is that structurally in the MENA region, unemployment is very high, but it is especially so for women. While the overall rate is 8%, for women it is 19% according to latest studies. Youth unemployment in particular is a tremendous problem, with over 42% of female youth unemployment in the region. This is a huge disparity and is something that is persistent over the years. And again, the COVID crisis is expected to impact much more women by having around 700,000 jobs held by women lost as a result of the pandemic. The sectors which are most hit are manufacturing and service industries, where again, women are a large proportion of the workforce. And moving forward, to illustrate a little bit the negative statistics that we have been looking at for the past few months, the business closure rate in our region, in the Middle East, again, there is a big disparity between male and female-led businesses. You can see almost 5 percentage points in the Middle East. And then one of the reasons which has been highlighted already many times for women dropping out of employment and dropping out of entrepreneurship is the increased share of housework and childcare that they've had to undertake as a result of the pandemic. This is very clearly illustrated on the second graph on the right-hand side. And then moving forward, what we have also seen is the digitalization gap, which is a term that probably not many people are familiar with, but what is clear is that internet penetration is uneven in our region, and while for men around 60% have access to internet, it is only 44% when it comes to women in the region. And this digital gap is exacerbated further by the COVID and prevents more women than men from keeping their jobs, from continuing to be active, from turning around their businesses to digital platforms because of the lack of infrastructure. And with this in mind, I wanted to open up the discussion with the first topic on our panel, which is the impact and reaction to COVID-19, maybe first starting with financial institutions, and to ask this question, Yasmina, whether financial institutions can continue to do business as usual, or are other approaches needed in the current environment?
Hi everyone, very interesting topic. All what you have shared is very consistent with the figures in Egypt particularly. The answer to your question is that financial institutions will no longer do the business the same way they used to do before COVID-19, definitely, for sure. There are gains, there are pain points, but the approach is completely different. I'm not sure if you're aware of the stride that happened in the Egyptian banking industry after COVID-19. Actually, the Central Bank of Egypt have adopted 16 new initiatives to support the banking industries in order to ensure sustainability and ensure success of the reform program that started back in 2013 and 2016. Just to give you a glance, Egypt has led most of the difficult reform agendas and turned stable and sustainable and navigated a big change in the monetary policy throughout the last 4 years. And we have room for aspirations at the banking industries in Egypt. Hence, the digitalization era started aggressively with the COVID-19 back in March. Just for your info, the banking industry in Egypt, we are 38 banks. We have 19 banks issuing wallets in favor of clients. Only 6 banks have the POS license and 9 have QR code license. We have a total bank accounts around 30 million, and we have a financial inclusion rate of 50% that improved from being 30% back in 2017 in a population of 100 million. We are the largest population in the Middle East, and having a 50% inclusion is good, but not optimum rate. We have very big room for growth, very big room for digitalization. Hence, you can see clearly that the increase in electronic transactions in Egypt post-COVID-19 increased by 150%, while wallets usage increased by 17%. Limit of electronic transactions increased to doubled actually for individuals and corporates. Number of transfers from wallet to wallet increased by 200%. Payment of government bills via wallets increased by 150%. Market leader bill aggregator, there is a market leader aggregator in Egypt, reported net profit of 100% increase in 2020, which tells you the room for growth in Egypt is huge potentials in Egypt. E-commerce consumers increased by 300%. Internet packages, which you already mentioned in your presentation, increased by 90%. All these indicators tell you that we turn this challenge into opportunity, and we made use of it to educate our people to better use and better utilize and depend on digital channels to bank and to make the best out of it without moving, without going to branches, which was not the case before. And maybe at EBE now, with every new branch we open, we have a digital island so that clients don't have to interact personally with our customer service, yet get used to our digital channels as well. I hope I answered your question, but I have a lot of aspirations to grow in Egypt, and I think there are huge rooms for more and more development when it comes to digitalization.
Thank you very much, Yasmina. You've highlighted the potential of digital financial services in order to broaden the access to finance for all entrepreneurs, but also female entrepreneurs. And it's really positive news to hear all these statistics from Egypt, which prove that there is this potential. I would like to turn now to Tamara and to ask her, as a representative of Aman Ventures, how do you think that organizations like yours can better cater to the financing needs of women entrepreneurs in these times?
Thank you, Ivetta. So back last summer, I was engaged as part of a large team working on assessing the impact of COVID-19 on 9 countries in the Arab region. Of course, assessing the impact of the monetary and fiscal changes to the policy and actions taken by the various central banks in the region, but more importantly, assessing the impact on private sector and SMEs in particular. And of course, it was very evident that women-owned SMEs, women-owned businesses were hit in a big way by the COVID crisis. The one thing that was evident as well is that although the Central Bank of Jordan, as an example, had a lot of measures that aimed at supporting SMEs, like guaranteed loans, zero interest loans, etc., such instruments were very useful for those companies that have existing banking relationships, because those loans were delivered through the local banks. But when it comes to women-owned SMEs, where there is already a funding gap and they're not served by banks efficiently yet, that gap increased, and a lot of those businesses were unable to benefit from those measures and instruments. So for us, this proved the need for an investment fund, an impact investment fund that has a clear gender lens, like Imam Ventures. And it proved the need for innovative funding instruments, just like we've been promoting the revenue capital and other funding instruments that are still new to the region. Maybe they're popular in Tunisia, for instance, but they're practically new in Jordan and non-existent in several Arab countries. So those instruments would add value because they're there to support the growth of SMEs. They're there to pace the payments and repayments with the growth achieved by the women-owned SMEs especially. But another thing that was very clear as well is the need for technical assistance and hand-holding, because a lot of those SMEs already had difficulty planning and surviving the turbulent environment that we all live and operate in the Middle East region. And COVID only exacerbated those challenges, and it made cash flow planning, cash flow projections, strategic planning even more difficult. And it was a true test to the resilience of the company. So it became evident that technical assistance is extremely important and should be strongly coupled with funding and financing in order for those SMEs to be able to develop and maneuver around the challenge that they face and continue to grow.
Thank you, Tamara. This is really interesting that you have deployed some innovative financing instruments to reach out to businesses that typically do not qualify for finance from the traditional banking sector. I would like now to turn to Sana and Hiba to touch on the particular challenges that are experienced by women entrepreneurs in the region. But before that, if I could ask Gabi to share our first survey, because we would like to get your opinions on what, in your view, are the biggest challenges experienced by female entrepreneurs in the region as a result of the COVID pandemic. Gabi, over to you.
Okay, so let me just share the poll now. Here we go. So here we go.
So I hope this is visible to everyone and all participants
so,
can check.
Because I can see the operational results here. So work in progress.
Okay.
It takes a while. 18 out of 38 have responded so far. (26), so it's 68%. And in a few moments, we can all see the results. So it's 80% response. Just wait another seconds. I'm not sure because it stops at 76%. Just asking the audience, have you finished? If so, just give us a hand sign. But I think this is it. So then I close the poll and we share the results here. So everyone should be able to see the results now. Do you? Okay.
Yes.
Interesting.
It's a very interesting result, actually, and it looks like lack of financial resources is indeed the biggest constraint, according to our audience, followed by increased domestic responsibilities, operational disruptions in the supply chain, and decreased demand for products as the last challenge. Okay.
Okay, so
that brings us back to the focus theme of our panel, which is access to finance. Exactly. And with this, I wanted to turn to Sana for her perspective on what are the particular challenges in your experience that female entrepreneurs have gone through in the past few months from your work with entrepreneurs on the ground. What have been the learning points? And how has that affected their businesses and strategies going forward?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much, Ivetta, for this great, important question. I think one thing that we need to realize that the fact that in the region we have really few female entrepreneurs, and we need to know which type of entrepreneurs are we talking about. In general, what we have in the region are survival entrepreneurs. So women who actually operate in social work, care and work services that have been the victims of COVID situation. And also the experience of female entrepreneurs differ from one country to another. I mean, if you look at women entrepreneurs in countries where the ecosystem is vibrant, like Jordan, for instance, Egypt and Tunisia, it's very different than women who are operating in Libya or in other countries in the region. So I just want to emphasize that women entrepreneurs already have had and still have different problems and challenges in the ecosystem in terms of legislation, in terms of discriminatory laws, in terms of access to finance, in terms of access to support, business support. I mean, we're talking about some countries where even freedom of mobility is a serious issue for a woman just to go to an incubator and just take part of an accelerator support program that will help her to turn her idea into a business. So these are already existing challenges. And then you have, in addition to that, the issue of COVID. I will just give an example. I will look at the positive and the negative example of female entrepreneurs who have faced and tackled this issue of COVID in a different way. There is an example of an entrepreneur. Her name is Dima Sori, who is actually an Egyptian. She has been working on a startup for way too long. And actually, it's an app called Explorer Agora. And the objective is to help educational organizations, institutions, schools to develop a new learning tool in their systems to help use creative tools like artificial intelligence in teaching. So she has been working on this app for way too long, and the launching was like expected to be done just the time when we had the COVID. And then all the schools, all the educational systems had to shut down because of uncertainty, because of the spread of the virus. So for her, she was like, everything I built was destroyed because of the uncertainty. And even to this day, till now, it is still uncertain, because schools are shut down and opened and reopened. So for her, it has been very difficult to actually adapt to the COVID situation. It has been difficult for her to develop new services and products to sustain her startup. But then there is another example of an entrepreneur from Iraq. Her name is Randy. she was working on an app, an online platform, where she would connect workers in constructions with potential clients. And one thing she noticed in her environment where she comes from is that it's very difficult to for women to have construction workers in their homes without a family member being there, given the fact, she comes from a conservative environment. So she felt like it would be interesting to work on this project, and she did not even thought about launching it. And then COVID happened, and a lot of construction workers lost their jobs, and they have turned into using her app to get job opportunities. And now she has quite a big database of clients and also of demands. Also, we can see another example from Tunisia. At the time of COVID, Tunisia was a great example of women who basically developed these products of masks and blouses and delivered them to the Ministry of Health in exchange of a small amount of money. But this gives a kind of indication that new business models could put in place, and women could actually generate revenues in times of crisis. And also the same thing that we can see in Lebanon during quite difficult periods of challenges and events. We've seen a lot of solidarity among women who developed quite innovative services, providing food and support for the affected Lebanese and citizens. And this is like, although it is again a social initiative, but they've turned it into a social business. So we can see that there are these new models, business models that have been kind of born during this time of crisis. But nevertheless, it's difficult for women entrepreneurs in general in the region. Because we have rooted problems that we need to tackle. For womenpreneur, for instance, during COVID, a lot of women entrepreneurs have reached to us who wanted to shift and change their businesses completely, and who wanted to change their face-to-face contact business into e-commerce or online businesses. But again, it's so difficult to understand the legislation. I mean, if you come from Morocco, it will take you a year just to understand how actually you can register an online business. The same thing in Iraq. So these women, they turn into establishing their businesses as offshore abroad. So we are losing again this talent when we're losing a serious economic contribution.
Sana, thank you very much for all these different perspectives. I think outlining also the positives along with the negatives. I think we can go a little bit deeper into the lessons learned in the second topic of our discussion. And now I wanted to turn to Hiba as our entrepreneur on the panel, and to ask her specifically, what did you experience as a woman that has started up a business in this new environment? What has been the positives, but also the negative impacts?
Okay, so it's very important that I put everybody in context in terms of the solution we used to offer before. So our solution in the events was mainly for the offline events, where we used to offer registration system, payment system, barcode issuance, badge printing, software for all these conferences that used to happen offline, if we want to call it that way. Now, since March of last year, while we were very excited that we had just opened our office in Saudi Arabia, and we did not expect or did not project the magnitude of the pandemic and its effect on the event industry specifically, we got 90% drop in our revenue, technically. And that was a major blow to everything that we have been working on and we have building for a while, especially that we are a growing startup. We don't have a massive investment. We don't have enough money in the bank to sustain us while there is stoppage in events. And there is a complete drop in terms of clients coming in or asking for our services. We move into what do we do next? Do we shut down? What do we do? Do we just, stop everything that we've been doing? So we paused for a moment, and then we started believing that there might be an opportunity here. There might be a reset into this industry. Although a lot of people might think the COVID had affected the event industry negatively, which it did for big parts of it, it made event organizers to start thinking differently. With the opportunities that are lying ahead now with virtual events like this, meetings like this, virtual sessions like this, events like this became a lot more possible than us going and perhaps meeting in Germany, although we prefer the meeting face to face. But there are certain times where, as women, we have domestic responsibilities, we have certain things that would prevent us from actually traveling to attend events. And we pivoted. We introduced a new product for us, which is what we call easymeet.co, which is our virtual event platform. And this platform became the enabler for virtual events. Not only do we do events that can target people from all around the world, we are giving better insights, we are giving better sponsorship opportunities, we are giving better engagement with the audience. People are getting to network and meet through this platform. And this realization would not have happened or would not have been accelerated as fast as it would have without the COVID pandemic, because we would have stayed using our registration system and trying to improve our technology. However, now we started shifting our attention a little bit more to what happens during the events. How do we maximize the return on investment for every single participant in the event? And this is what I believe was some of the positives that came out of this pandemic, despite the fact that we had we'd been hit by a 90% revenue cut. Accessing finance was one of the biggest challenge, because not only did we face something like this, there are certain payment gateways such as PayPal. They started imposing certain rules and regulations that came to us as a surprise. For example, they used to put a money reserve on all tickets sold, and this money reserve was imposed for about 6 months. So anybody who buys a ticket, now I don't have access to money to give it back to the event organizer for 6 months. And it was left at the discretion of PayPal. And we started having challenges with our event organizers because their cash flow also got impacted. And I don't have their money because PayPal decided that this is something that they need to also mitigate in terms of risk. So we faced lots and lots and lots of challenges. Going back to the point of accessing finance, I believe we were privileged because we had banking relations, and we were able to apply to one of these central bank loans. However, this itself is not something very comforting to me as an entrepreneur, because this is in the back of my mind. Now the bank loans have to be paid, and they're all due. So this is still a challenge, and I believe that this is one of the biggest challenge on top of the muted demand that I just discussed with what happened to my business.
Thank you, Hiba. This is a very, very interesting perspective, and also, very positive to see that you have managed to take away the positives out of this crisis and to turn around your business and to help it survive in these circumstances, despite the drop in demand, despite the blockages on the financing side. Maybe if I could come back to the positives of this crisis and the opportunities for growth, and I wanted to show you a slide on some research that we did on what could be the positive learnings from COVID-19, what could be the opportunities for growth for female-led businesses in the region. And just to open a bracket, this is a global study which was done by We Connect International in 2020. We couldn't find data for the MENA region, But we hope that some of these findings could be also relevant and helpful for the female entrepreneurs in the region as well. So we found three main themes: that the ongoing pace of digitalization, which has accelerated, of course, due to COVID, provides opportunities for growth, both in terms of new markets and new business opportunities, but also cutting on costs. So what we can see here is that over 50% of women businesses are reporting cost-cutting measures and finding potential to optimize further their operations as a result of digitalization. And over 40% have shifted their business models to a digital or semi-digital platform. Adapting the business model to new market realities, again, we see very strong tendencies that women-led businesses are pivoting, are tailoring their businesses to meet the new market reality. 34% are finding new business opportunities as a result of the COVID crisis, which is also very encouraging. And then what we also see is a wave of entrepreneurship with many new business models emerging as a result of the new economic reality. And also as a result of women losing their traditional jobs, seeing these new opportunities, grabbing them and starting their own businesses. So with this, I wanted to go back to Tamara and to ask whether in her experience as part of Amam Ventures, she is witnessing some of these success stories in the region and businesses that have managed to really find opportunities amidst the crisis.
Absolutely. I think despite all these challenges and the dark days that we went through, there has been a silver lining. And a lot of businesses were able to use the crisis as an opportunity to reduce inefficiencies in their businesses, to question their business models. Because even though the economic situation in the region and in Jordan in particular before COVID was challenging, it was still a bit stable. So every business owner was comfortable to a certain degree with running the business with no or little changes. But COVID pushed us all to question what we've been doing. We've seen that with the businesses, and they've revamped their business models, pivoted into new offerings that supported the needs that arose from the crisis. We definitely saw a lot of digitization, and we saw that a lot of those businesses had been thinking about digitization before, but had the luxury to continue doing things offline. With COVID, everyone was pushed to digitize as much as possible. This meant digital payments, digital operations, etc. But at the same time, this showed us that there is a big gap in the digital skills out there, how to create your online store, how to sell digitally, things like that. These are skills that are still missing, and a lot of, especially women-owned businesses, require support in that area. We saw that very clearly. Another thing we saw is the importance of the network, of people being able to get together, to share opportunities, and very importantly, to collaborate. People started seeing synergies with other companies that they never considered before. So collaborating, building on each other's strengths in the value chain was a clear taking. Another thing that we felt was extremely important, especially with the virtual community of women in business Arabia, is that the uptake on all those virtual events was extremely important, especially for women. We saw that despite all the responsibilities that women had as a result of COVID, the uptake on viewing and attending virtual events continued to grow. And it was very clear that, and I think that for me, that was beautiful, because we've always been talking about digitizing and democratizing knowledge and making knowledge available to women at their own pace. And hence, we saw that viewership for all our live streamed events, for all our recorded events, was happening or going up in the evening, when a female would be done with her work-related activities, with her household chores, looking after the kids are in bed asleep, and then she would have time to spend on developing herself, on learning something new. And for us, that was beautiful. We've had like around 5,000 views to every event we had. And this is amazing. These are all digital assets that we can reuse in the future. And it meant that despite the fact that women got busier, had more responsibilities as a result of COVID, they still found time to invest in themselves and develop their skills.
Thank you very much, Tamara. These are excellent examples, and another proof that, the crisis offers an opportunity when you adapt quickly, and when you turn around your business to make sure that you grab any opportunities that perhaps you don't see from the very beginning. And with this, I wanted to also ask Yasmina, as a representative of financial institution that serves also a lot of female clients, have you changed anything in your business strategy or approach to financing female-led businesses in particular? And has it brought any unexpected positive results, for example?
I want to shed the light on something that Tamara mentioned and your good self, that I take China as a great example of attending to dynamic clients' demand in a swift way, has really a positive impact on the business, as witnessed by GDP growth in China this year was around 2.3%. Which was a great achievement in light of having such a long period of lockdown. So those who attend to dynamic demand of clients have the chance to really make these challenges as opportunities. So I think this is inspiring, and bringing it to the micro level and even to the very small businesses, I think this is a lesson learned for any crisis. Back to our EBE's proposition. We have a very interesting product called Expo Lady. This Expo Lady product is mainly designated to women-led small enterprises and mainly exporters who have a turnover of around 1 million euros per annum. This brings women-led enterprises into fast track for granted working capital facilities, MTLs at an exceptional rate, in addition to non-financial services like consultancy and advisory. This product has a very positive impact on the women's society, and it gives an edge to EBE among women entrepreneurs. In addition to how business has been managed, maybe I would like to shed the light internally at EBE. First, I'm coming from a work environment where our chairperson is a lady, Mrs. Mirad Sultan, and she's giving great support to women, whether clients or employees. We have a gender mix of employees of around 43%, up from 20 plus, which is a very big achievement. And I believe that coming with this mindset, support to women has been always at the heart of the strategy of the bank. I want to tell you as well a great step forward for women in Egypt, that gender diverse board is now mandatory in Egypt. So diversity in any board is now mandatory. Having one woman in any board in Egypt is now mandatory due to or to comply with the decree of the Financial Regulatory Authority in 2020, and I think this decree gives a lot of equality to women in Egypt, and it will ameliorate the percentages because or the statistics, because in Egypt female-owned business or entrepreneurs is only 16%, and the female senior management is around 7% only. So having women on board will help a lot, witnessing a big jump in this respect.
Thank you very much, Yasmina. This is really interesting, and I would like to take this opportunity to ask one of the questions that has already been posed in the chat, which is particularly to the Expo Lady product offering that you mentioned for female-led businesses. And the question is, have there been any learnings and opportunities to continuously improve the service to women-led SMEs through the Expo Lady experience?
Through the Expo Lady experience, surprisingly, we found that it is that the feedback from clients was quite interesting. That we found that many small and very small enterprises, they don't know their way on how to present proper balance sheet, how to have financial consultancy in a proper way, how to be bankable in another sense. So it helped a lot of entrepreneurs become bankable and to trust the bank, to trust going to the bank and have self-confidence while approaching any bank for whether working capital, for MTL, because as we always say, debt is cheaper than equity. But unfortunately, small enterprises, they don't have access to finance. So, and maybe they are afraid to export. They don't have the knowledge of trade finance terminologies, terms, rules and conditions. They're not aware of it. It might appear complex to some exporters and small entrepreneurs, but taking them step by step and helping them raising their learning curve gives them a lot of self-confidence. So the answer is yes, the feedback from Expo Lady clients and potential clients has been quite positive for quite some time.
Thank you very much, Yasmina. And with this, I wanted to turn to Sana and to ask whether you agree that non-financial services, support services to female-led businesses are important, whether support with business planning, with management, financial matters is important for female entrepreneurs. And maybe you could give us some examples of initiatives from your experience as heading the Womenpreneur Initiative, of activities in that area which have supported and helped female entrepreneurs in the region.
Definitely, and that's what we have been doing since COVID. We've been trying to support women by providing them with business support, connections, and put them in touch with local system support. I think it is important because women entrepreneurs at this stage, they are just trying to sustain their businesses, so trying to find the right tools, the right systems that will help them to do that. Many of the women entrepreneurs we've been working with, they are not thinking about growth at the moment. They are not thinking about expansion. They're just thinking of sustaining their businesses. Hopefully, after COVID, they could adapt and change. And I think it's a good opportunity for them to think about digitalization, to think about new systems, new products, new services. To also, a lot of female entrepreneurs we work with, for the first time, they try to really do a dedicated understanding of the needs of the consumers, given the fact that with COVID, the needs and the interests of the consumers have been shifted. So they have done a lot of work on that. And that's what Womenpreneur was providing these women with, is a really serious understanding of their needs and serious connection to experts and providing them with different solutions. One of our accelerator programs is Generation W that we've launched during COVID. We have identified 50 women who have been impacted by COVID seriously. In general, they are early stage entrepreneurs. So we have supported them during 6 months program. We had identified individual issues, individual needs, and we had also the opportunity to connect them between each other and for them to support each other. The conclusion of this program is that we had some women entrepreneurs who actually shifted their work completely, and they preferred to stop their ventures and to actually look for a classical jobs, and we helped them with that. Many of them found a classical job because they felt like they cannot sustain the stress, the pressure, and the responsibilities, because COVID is also putting a lot of pressure on women, social and psychological pressure. And others actually succeeded in shifting their businesses into online. And that was a very good examples for us. But nevertheless, I want to emphasize that with COVID, there are opportunities out there. But at the same time, these women kind of operate in certain environments with certain serious challenges. We worked with a Tunisian woman who had a very, very interesting, successful e-commerce business. But again, it's very difficult when she's trying to reach out to consumers outside Tunisia because of the currency problem. So when the legislation is not very clear, it's difficult for these women and for entrepreneurs in general to reach out to new consumers. So I think with the COVID situation is an opportunity for actors in the ecosystem, key actors in the ecosystem, to think what are the best solutions that they could provide for entrepreneurs in general, whether women or men. And I think Startup Act in Tunisia is doing a great work on that level. They are like during the whole COVID situation, they have been in constant contact and to try to understand the issues of these entrepreneurs and to put pressure on the government, on financial institutions to provide solutions. And quite successful businesses have been actually born from COVID in Tunisia. So I hope it's a good example for the rest of the region.
Thank you very much, Sana. And this is also a nice transition to our next topic, which are what are the priorities and what are the key things that we as stakeholders in the ecosystem in the MENA region can do to help and support further female entrepreneurs. But before that, I would like to pose another question in our survey, which is how do you see the impact of COVID-19? Does it offer overall challenges or opportunities for female-led businesses? And I would like to ask Gabi, if possible, to share the survey with us.
Here we go.
Thank you, Gabi. So we have two options. We know that the world is not black and white, but we wanted to quickly test the audience's view on our discussion on the impact of the COVID. So do you think that it will lead to unfavorable shifts in work-life balance, especially relevant for women? Or do you think it will create opportunities by turning into more flexible working patterns?
So still in progress.
Thank you.
So a few more seconds to go. So, okay, here we go. I hope you all are in, as I can only see 83%. Perhaps we give it another second. Okay, so I stop it. Now let's see the results. Here we go.
Oh. It is quite a close result. So 52% think that there is an opportunity emerging from the crisis, and that flexible working will help women entrepreneurs. While 48% think that, in fact, the unfavorable shift in work-life balance will be negative for female-led businesses. Okay, that's an interesting result. And with that, I would like to transition to the third topic on our panel, which is how we, as representatives of investors, financial institutions, incubators, accelerators, networking partners, can help female-led businesses to have the access to finance that is so critical in order for their businesses to survive, but also to take those opportunities that are presented by the market and move on to a stage of recovery. And maybe I can start with Hiba as a female entrepreneur from the region. I would like to ask you, what in your view is critical in terms of access to finance in order to enable your business to capture all the opportunities and to continue to grow?
Okay, so aside from having education or like being trained on what type of financial instruments are out there for me, whether it's equity financing or, convertible notes from certain investors, loans, things like that. We have noticed some grant schemes that are out there that are helping the businesses in some soft services. So, for instance, we got a grant from a project called Jade that helped us with branding our new product, with launching our new product, by offering us to work with a large marketing company that, as a startup, probably I would not have been able to afford. So the way they put such businesses to help startups was actually a good thing, because I wouldn't have been able to access it, and they were able to access it because the deal size included several other startups. So to the marketing company, it made more sense because we got a bundle offer, and we were able to work with an agency that we could not afford as a startup. Another thing that is quite critical is having some assistance in product adoption. So we have technical solutions. For if we give my case, or like perhaps any other female entrepreneur case, we sometimes need assistance in having product adoption from big entities. Financial institutions, because they have large number of employees and they have large bodies, they could be a great potential for them to try certain products that not only maybe in fintech, they could be in other related products that the banks in general use. So product adoption is second. And the things that are being done right now by Women in Business Arabia, such as offering the advisory board, is something that is extremely great, because this is not something that startups usually think in the back of their minds, but the fact that they are offering these types of programs, assistance, is also critical for the success of the business. And programs like or events like this one, where there are also potential linkages, is what also the startups are in critical need of. Because when we say that the money is there, provided that we reached an understanding and we got the money, we need to be able to promote and sell our products. And for us to get them, we need to leverage a network of other female entrepreneurs, banking sectors, and other big organizations that will want to adopt the launching of these businesses in general.
Thank you very much, Hiva, also for highlighting how important networking and mentoring is for female-led enterprises. I would like to turn the question also to Tamara, since you have experience in supporting women in these areas, to tell us what, from your perspective, is critical and how can institutions like yours advance and address these needs of female-led businesses?
I have to say that this is a true passion of mine, and I love working in this field, and I believe that we've managed to find a combination of activities that we're doing that we're hoping would move the needle for women in Jordan and the region. So several things. So with the investment fund, we're continuously testing with new funding instruments and are looking at businesses in different sectors. So we're seeing now in our pipeline businesses in agriculture, in organic foods and things like that, things that we hadn't seen before COVID, that became more important when topics like food security came back on the scene. At the same time, we're trying to make our funding instruments approachable for entrepreneurs and SME founders and owners. So we're creating all these frequently asked questions, information on our website, and we're making ourselves available in different events and networks so that we can explain more about what we're doing. Because our objective with spreading the knowledge with all the programs that we're doing is to generate deal flow, not only for ourselves, but also for other programs that are out there, whether it's grants, it's other investors, or it's bank offerings, because we believe that the funding gap is so big that there's a lot to be done and we cannot cover it ourselves. At the same time, Hiba kindly mentioned the activities that we are doing around mentoring and advisory. And as a result of COVID, we launched two interesting activities. One was a program called Wathba. Wathba in Arabic means leap forward. And with Wathba, the pilot version, we decided to focus on women in the F&B business because they've been badly hit by COVID. And we launched the program in Jordan. We had applications from women across the country. So in Amman, the capital, where things are more advanced and knowledge and information is more accessible, and women from the governorates outside Amman. And in that program, we had group mentoring sessions where we brought in experts to help women with menu engineering, pricing, digital presence, etc. And amazing. For me, there were two very interesting takeaways. One is the topic of the digital divide or the digital gap, where we've seen cases with women asking for the sessions to be in the evening, not only because they would have more free time, but because the husband would be back home with the mobile phone that has an internet connection. And the other thing is the realization that women reached among themselves, of the importance of them to aggregate their businesses, collaborate, create sort of a cooperative, because together they can become bigger and stronger and tackle a bigger market size. So very interesting program. We are planning to address different industries during 2021. Another program was the one that Hiba mentioned, the Get On Board program, where we saw that women-owned SMEs are facing a lot of challenges, especially as a result of COVID. And at the same time, when we looked at the status of women on boards in Jordan and the region, we found that the numbers were dismal. So we felt that we needed to do something about that. So we selected 20 women out of more than 300 applications that we received. Those women went through the IFC board certification program because now they're trained to become board members. They've moved into a pipeline where we can start sharing opportunities for them to become board members. But to give them practical experience, we matched them with women-owned SMEs where they can serve as advisory board members, providing a sounding board, providing mentors who can help those businesses navigate the challenges that they're going through because of COVID. And where we just completed the matching between the SMEs and the advisors, and the excitement that we're seeing from both sides is really, really heartwarming.
Thank you, Tamara. These are all very encouraging examples of mentoring women and giving them the confidence to step up and to help other women on one hand. And also a reminder that the digitalization gap is something very real in the MENA region. And sometimes it's a question of really lack of infrastructure that female entrepreneurs have to deal with. So my question then goes to Sana, and it is, how can we help women bridge this digital gap and, drive their businesses more towards the digital space, despite all these challenges that they face, despite the lack of reliable or even despite the lack of internet connection at times? What can we do as stakeholders to promote this further digitalization of businesses in the MENA region?
Thank you, Ivetta. Well, I think I will just give example of Senate, the Entrepreneurship Academy, our great partner. We have been cooperating with them last year and again on different initiatives for this year, exciting ones, where we are going to tackle actually digitalization and access to tech education. One thing in the region, as you mentioned, is that half of the population is disconnected. I'm talking about half of the female population is disconnected. So therefore, it makes it difficult to reach out to certain women who come from marginalized kind of environments. And also the fact that we have in the region different female or women networks, but again, there is also discrimination in these networks, where you have to pay for a certain membership in order to access, to have a certain privilege that is kind of limited. And therefore, we are very excited to work with Senate Entrepreneurship Academy on another exciting initiative that we're going to launch in February. I cannot tell you more details about it because you have to wait for the launching, but check Senate Entrepreneurship Academy's website and Women'spreneurs website as well, where we're going to announce this initiative. As from our side, as Women'preneur, we continue providing support for women, free support especially for marginalized women, for early stage entrepreneurs, to kind of adapt, to learn, and that would help them to grow. And the other thing that we do is advocacy. We worked with Senate Entrepreneurship Academy last year on producing a research paper, basically emphasizing on the solutions instead of the problems. So we focus on how to support women's participation in tech economy, focusing on Morocco, Jordan, and Tunisia. And that research paper was communicated to the general public through a very engaging video, but also we used the research papers to tackle stakeholders and institutions who received this research paper with quite interest and excitement. Hopefully it will help into putting in practice solutions. Another paper that we're working on now with Senate Entrepreneurship Academy is a paper on how to support women during COVID. We're going to focus on Egypt, Lebanon, and Algeria. Very different countries, very interesting as well. If you look at Egypt, very vibrant ecosystem. And we're going to publish the paper in April, hopefully. And we hope that this paper would help the institutions who are trying to put in place different plans to support the economy and support women directly, in a way that it brings positive progress. I think when it comes to the stakeholders, it is important to emphasize on financial support for female entrepreneurs. As you can see from the poll today, there is a need of financial support. And I think for institutions, like specifically financial institutions, it is the time for them to innovate, to put in place different services, different products that will meet the needs of women. Because one thing we've noticed at Women'preneur, many women entrepreneurs have actually sought for loans, but they did not put these loans on their businesses, but rather on their families' needs. So I think it's a great opportunity for banks and financial institutions to also shift the way they respond to the needs of female consumers.
Thank you very much, Sana. I would like to turn around and to ask Yasmina whether this resonates with you as a representative of a financial institution, and whether do you think this is indeed one of the key priorities for you going forward?
Definitely. This year was a year where women were acknowledged so many times by the president, by so many eminent institutions, and it was reflected in very strategic decisions that took place this year. For example, establishing financial inclusion department in each and every bank, where at the heart of it is to tap on or to tackle untapped segments, mainly youth and women. So women is a target segment for banks, either individuals or corporates. I advise women entrepreneurs to make use of this opportunity, maybe to tackle the CBE or Central Bank of Egypt Sandbox, which is an incubator for startups. It's an excellent idea, and it's actually turning so many startups into reality with great market value. I also advise women entrepreneurs to benefit from the crisis by maybe one of the issues is that the supply chain was disrupted due to COVID-19. So why not thinking of localizing the supply chain and substitute international suppliers by local suppliers and adapt to their needs. Also, I advise them to increase the complexity of their goods as much as possible to reduce the barrier to entry and to reduce competition. So, and finally, I advise them to make use of the IFC program, whereby they can leverage on the corporate director certification program that Tamara just mentioned in Jordan, and we already have also in Egypt, where they can be certified board members to have value added in any board that they can join. And I want to wish them all the best.
Thank you very much, Yasmina, for these encouraging words. And here I would like to stop and to have our last survey for this session, which is focusing on the key priorities, actually, and what do you think are the key initiatives that we need to push forward in order to enable finance for female-led businesses. And I would like Gabi again to share the survey with the options. It's a multiple choice, so you can choose more than one. Yeah, please cast your vote.
Okay, here we go. Poll is open. So I think we are done. 85%, perhaps we get 90. But I think that's it. Okay. So now
See the results.
See the results.
Okay. Again, very close votes actually between three of the proposals. So increased access to investment clearly is on top with 71%. The key priority, followed by increased networking to scale up business opportunities, promoting digitalization for women-led businesses, all topics that we went through, increased business training, absolutely, and then targeted financial products for women entrepreneurs with 38%. Yes, it seems like quite a lot of things that we need to put on our agendas. And with that, also I wanted to close up on the discussion with a video which we wanted to share with you from the Womenpreneur Tour that we did together with Sana and the Sana Entrepreneurship Academy last year. This goes back to our discussion on how important mentoring and networking is for female-led businesses, and also the role of success stories and role models in the region. This is what we wanted to promote with this Womenpreneur Tour. And now I will ask Gabi kindly to share the short video with you, which speaks for itself, I think.
The digital revolution is rapidly changing our social, political, economic, and environmental landscape beyond recognition. And women will undoubtedly be impacted by these changes. This new digital revolution could see the rise of labor shortages, precarious employment, financial instability, inequality, the digital divide, and, as such, impact women more specifically. And these are challenges that countries of the Middle East and the North Africa region are already dealing with and might be exacerbated by the inevitable disruption. Women's participation in leading this revolution is vital to ensuring technology does not exacerbate social issues, such as gender discrimination and inequality. Womenpreneur Tour traveled to Morocco, Tunisia, and Jordan to provide an overview of the current tech ecosystem in the region and propose innovative recommendations to address rightly the barriers female entrepreneurs face. So what are the problems facing female entrepreneurs? In the Mena region, women still suffer from gender discrimination, inequality, and underrepresentation in the labor market. According to the World Economic Forum's Global Gender Gap report, the female labor participation rate stands at about 21%, below the world average of 49%. But also, female entrepreneurs suffer from difficulty to access the markets, access to finance, availability of tech talent, lack of supportive environment. This ultimately impacts the ability of female entrepreneurs to start, scale, and grow their businesses. To address these challenges, effective policies and actions must be taken now before it's too late. We need to support female tech entrepreneurs' access to technology knowledge, include female tech entrepreneurs at all levels of the legislative process, promote female role models in technology, ensure equal representativeness of tech women in incubators and accelerators, create female-oriented or women-only funds, produce qualitative and quantitative research on the impact of women entrepreneurs on the development of the region. Now you know. Let's leave no woman behind. For more information, check out our website.
Thank you very much, Gabi, for sharing this video with us. Yeah, we are hoping very much to continue with the Womenpreneur Tour. Our next stop is Egypt, actually, but we've had to postpone it a little bit due to Corona. We still want to do it physically. We think that's a better way than doing things entirely remotely. So we are hoping that as things normalize during 2021, we'll be able to continue with the Womenpreneur Tour. And with this, I wanted to move on to the question and answer session and pose some of the questions that the participants already kindly shared in the chat. Well, one of them, I think, is particularly directed towards Tamara. And the question is, how do you particularly reach out to SMEs that so far have little or no access to funding schemes to include them in yours?
Good question. And just a bit of background, because that's part of the answer. When we started Women in Business Arabia in 2017 as a virtual community supporting women across the region, the objective had been to design our programming based on the voice of our members. We stand now, like I said, at 42,000 members. 20% of those are business owners at different stages of growth for their businesses. And for us, that's the ultimate pipeline 20% of 42,000, that's thousands of women across the region who have businesses, who lead businesses, and are all looking for funding. Of course, that's one big part of the pipeline. The other thing is that we're building relationships, we're collaborating with the different partners in the ecosystem just to make sure that we have access to women who are out there, or businesses that have a clear gender agenda. And so for us, we're looking at businesses that support the 2X challenge criteria, with women as founders, or women as leaders, or women as employees, or women with, or products and services that cater for women. So it's the Women in Business Arabia Network, and it's our ecosystem partners, because we believe in collaboration, in partnerships and alliances with everyone that's out there, building on what they're doing and collaborating, because with everything that is being done, we are barely moving the needle on women economic empowerment in Jordan and the region. So we cannot go through this journey alone.
Thank you very much, Tamara. And then one question which I think probably Hiba can take, and Sana. This is about challenges for women entrepreneurs. And the question is, are there any other challenges for women entrepreneurs you may think of, like loan requirements or criteria, business education, awareness at financial institutions on how to treat female clients?
Okay, go ahead. I mean, there are different challenges. There are the common challenges that women entrepreneurs face in the whole region. But again, the whole region is not homogeneous groups. There are specific challenges per country as well. I mean, you've summarized quite important challenges, which is access to finance, business support, understanding the female consumers' needs, also access to information. This is a huge problem. Legislation when it comes to establishing or registering startups, specifically tech startups. So these are common problems or issues for entrepreneurs, whether men or women. But there is, in addition, the mindset, the culture that women entrepreneurs face. But nevertheless, I think there are, what's interesting in the region, that there are supportive organizations and actors. The ecosystem is more aware today than before about the challenges of female entrepreneurs. And I think also the cooperation between the North and the South, that is bringing more awareness, more support, like Sanat is doing in the region. So I think there are challenges, but there are also opportunities. What's important, just to actually find the right network that will help a female entrepreneur to build her business, to access the right people and the right contacts.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much, Sana. There is also an interesting question, which I think is very relevant here, maybe, and it is for Yasmina. And the question is, very often it's not a question of access to finance, but it's a question of lack of awareness among female-led businesses. So have you adapted in some way your marketing strategy in order to reach out better to female entrepreneurs? You mentioned that you had a product offering specifically targeted to females. Was there anything different in the way you communicated it, or outreach to the female-led businesses?
Well, as I told you, our ambition, or the sky is the limit to our ambition. So whatever we are offering, we think that there are room for development always. And we are always seeking to reach more women entrepreneurs. In that sense, not from a commercial side, but also from a CSR side. So I just want to share with you that, for example, from out of our corporate social responsibility activities or initiatives, we are supporting women entrepreneur organizations under which many women-led enterprises are members there just to get the support, the advisory, the consultancy of the members among each other. So our marketing strategy is geared towards more reach, more networking, on the ground interaction with the women-led entrepreneurs, to the extent that we support them in providing business to or to connect them and do B2B deals with our corporate SME clients and maybe to the bank as well. So it is on our radar, and I think there is a huge room for development and growth.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mena. And maybe to pose it to you, Sana, as well, as someone that is working very closely with female entrepreneurs, do you find that lack of awareness is a problem when it comes to what financial products are available for female-led businesses?
I wouldn't say lack of awareness. I would say more of access to information, and also the fact that women are intimidated. In general, they're intimidated by this type of institutions. So I think it's just creating kind of an understanding between the financial institutions and the female entrepreneurs. That would be my insight on it.
Okay. Thank you very much. I would like to invite participants for any last-minute questions. And also, I would like to invite our panelists to think about their closing remarks and messages to this panel. So there is one question that just came through. What is your experience with women business angels? I guess this would be a relevant question for Hiba. Would you like to comment on that?
I haven't actually gotten any investment from women business angels. Maybe we're applying to some funds that are targeting women. I think it will be something that is very positive, because we can somehow relate, and there is this network aspect that we want to support one another. But I don't have experience fully yet on women business angels, and hopefully soon I will.
Okay, very interesting. I saw also Tamara raising her hand. Tamara, would you like to comment on that?
Yes, I would say that the angel investment scene is still not very structured or formalized across the region, but we were lucky that with Imam Ventures, we have a couple of women angel investors who have committed to support us. At the same time, one thing that we are planning at a later stage is to create a crowdfunding campaign through the Women in Business Arabia Network, so that we get more women to learn about angel investing and be part of the change.
Okay. And it's interesting that you mentioned crowdfunding, because this has been one topic of discussion for a long time in the MENA region, as a way to really attract investment, especially for early stage businesses, female-led businesses as well. And my question is, what, in your view, have been the main challenges to establish those platforms? Because if you look in Western Europe and the US, these are a reality for a very long time. But in the MENA region, it has been quite a slow process so far. So what has been the challenge, in your view?
I would say there are two main challenges. One is cultural and awareness related. People are not used to investing and crowdfunding in particular, or using crowdfunding platforms. So there's a lot of awareness that needs to be built for those to become more successful. And the other challenge is the legal infrastructure in this part of the world. And that's why you find that a lot of crowdfunding platforms are established outside and trying to work with companies in the region. But again, they would ask the companies to register or incorporate in offshore jurisdictions because, again, the legal environment is not supportive or conducive.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. Thank you very much. I also see a particular question to Sana and Sanat about the operations and initiatives to support businesses in Algeria. Mm-hmm. So I suggest we take this question offline because it's not directly related to the discussion topics of this panel, but we will address it and we will come back to you. Thank you very much for it. And with this, I'm just looking at last questions. There is one coming in just now from Sana Bardawil. Do you think that despite the benefits of a more balanced work-life achievements as a result of the coronavirus pandemic, in actual fact, not being present and being able to engage face-to-face and network has set back women in terms of opportunities? Who would like to take this question?
Maybe I can just share from my own own experience as womanpreneur during this accelerator program Generation W. What we've noticed, actually, the fact that we did the program online virtually, it has allowed women to approach different experts, different investors, different, I would say, high-level people that usually they are intimidated when they kind of, they meet them in person. I mean, there is a study that shows that women have more difficult with networking than men. I'm talking about face-to-face networking. So I actually think that the COVID situation has allowed women to develop their online networking skills, at least from our experience at Womanpreneur.
Hiba, do you want to comment as well?
Yeah, so I was adding to what Sana had mentioned. This type of networking now had improved because not only are you able to reach out to more female entrepreneurs through the virtual networking setup, the barriers to having the opening remark or the opening discussion with another female in the room with these virtual systems now becomes much easier because you can check their profiles, you can actually take permission to network with this person. And this has become so much easier with these solutions, and it had enabled for a wider network of other female-to-female networking. Because when you do the face-to-face female networking, you're more confined to the venue capacity, venue space. However, now with the virtual world, you can network with any women anywhere, right?
Exactly. I think our panel today is also another example of how well technology can enable this type of opportunities and a really good exchange between us, being spread around the world and in different time zones. So with this, perhaps I would like to close the discussion. I don't think there are any other outstanding questions as far as I could see on the chat. And I wanted to ask each and every one of you to say just a few words, sentence on what will you take away from today's discussion and what would be for you the key priority when it comes to enabling female-led businesses in your area. Maybe we start with Yasmina. Yasmina, you are on mute, I think. Yes.
Thank you for this inspiring webinar, and I would like to thank all the audiences and panelists for their contribution. I would say that I think my message to women entrepreneurs is to benefit from this crisis as much as possible. And I believe in Mark Twain's very famous quote saying, they didn't know that it was impossible, so they did it. So whatever is impossible, I believe you can all do it. And best of luck to everyone.
Thank you very much, Yasmina. This is really inspirational. Then maybe moving on to Tamara.
So my message is for the female entrepreneurs and business owners out there. And it's basically that digitization is no longer a luxury. That needs to be to become a core part of your business. Revisiting the business model, testing the business model on a regular basis is also extremely important. We still don't know when we recover from COVID, what the true impact is. So we need to constantly look at the way we've been doing things and look at how to optimize and improve. Focusing on scenario planning. So I've heard a lot of women saying that we can no longer do any long-term planning for our business. We cannot do budgeting or forecasting. It is important to just think of scenarios now and plan around those scenarios. And the last thing is please ask for help. There are a lot of networks, platforms out there. There are a lot of men and women who want to support, help, give advice, mentor. You can just go to the Women in Business Arabia Facebook page and ask for support there. But don't keep the question to yourself. Don't try and solve your challenge yourself. There are a lot of people who can help. That's it.
Thank you, Tamara. Thank you very much. Passing then the floor to Sana.
I will keep it short. I think my takeaway in my message for women entrepreneurs and everyone is that behind every challenge, there is an opportunity.
Thank you, Sana. We can't agree more with that, I think. And then finally, Hiba, what would be your main takeaway and a message?
So it's critical to have perseverance and stamina when things are tough. Try to remain focused, yet think innovatively. Seek help and always be learning. No one has the answer, really, or know what they're doing 100% from the start. No one knows this. You can only know by trying, failing, learning, adapting, eventually succeed. And would love it to have everybody give us feedback on our virtual solution. You can check it out. It's easymeet.co and spread the word to our network. And we look forward to also helping in any way possible. Anybody has any questions, please reach out from a fellow entrepreneur who has been through this journey, and happy to help. And thank you for organizing this.
Thank you very much, Hiba, and thank you also for sharing your experience as an entrepreneur and a founder of a successful business in the region. And finally, Gabi, I wanted to see whether you want to perhaps share a few words with all of us.
Oh, I definitely would like to. So first of all, a massive thank you for this amazing kickoff. What a powerful session. Thank you to each of you individually. Excellent moderation, Ivetta, so up to the point. Wonderful speakers, engaged participants. Sorry for some of the technical issues. Next time we'll be doing even better. But thank you so much for having shared your very personal insight, your lessons learned, shining examples of how to seize opportunities in times of crisis. And therefore, I was particularly touched by seeing that, teaching us never give up, be resilient, be innovative, and it's worth to walk the extra mile. And together, we can strengthen our network and become even more cohesive at that. So again, thank you all. Bye-bye to all of you, and hopefully see you very soon next time. It truly was a pleasure having you with us, and hopefully this is the start of another network success story. So stay well, stay safe and healthy, and hopefully see you very soon. Bye-bye to all of you.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.
Have a good afternoon.